Okay, so if you want to feed this colony here, what you're going to do in the spring, maybe when you first get your package, is start out with an entrance feeder. Sometimes they look like this, sometimes they look like this, and they're all the same. The way they work is they go like this. Sugar water is held by vacuum inside this little area, which fits right into the hive. So what you do is you kind of have to lift the hive up a little bit like this, slide the entrance feeder to one side, make sure the lid's on tight, and then you can, shake the water out. It will drip at first when you first turn it upside down. Boom, you're in there like that. Now your bees are going to walk over and eat the food, the sugar water here. We also sell and make the entrance feeders, reducers. They go with entrance feeders, so if you want to, you can just put that in place like this, reducing the entrance on the early installation of a package. Now, like I said, I'm moving fast. Now, another way to do it is, if you don't want to use the entrance feeder in the spring, I recommend that you use one of our feeding systems. I want you to see how cool this is. I've made other videos. I'm going to take the super off. And now we have the 2 deep hive bodies. I'm going to put this on. And as you can see, it has a place where you can put the jars here. You can push your pollen patties in here if you want to do that. Don't have to use pollen patties. It goes on top of the hive. And then your canning jar with sugar water goes in these holes just like this. So you can put 2 of them in there at a time, feed your bees. Once you do that though, keep in mind you're going to have to use either a deep hive box body, the body only, so that you'll have enough room to put your lid on top of your hive where you're feeding. But what's really cool is when you do this, the bees can't come up because screen is on that feeder system. Now if you use a small jar like I'm showing here, then of course you can use a honey super. If you're using a small jar like this one, then you can use the same honey super that you're not using yet on a new installation of a package, and you can use it to provide the space that you need while you're feeding. So as you can see, when you change out your jars, there's screen to hold the bees down, as well as when you change the pollen patty. Then you just put your top on top of your hive, and you're good to go. And that's the best way, I think, right now, the best way to feed a package of bees, because the bees will cluster and go up. And in the wintertime, if your feet are the late wintertime, early spring, if you get packages that early, if you put your feeding entrance feeder down below and bees are more up in the top getting warm, they'll unlikely go down and eat that food on a cold spring night. Another way that you can feed bees, either in spring or late, maybe in the fall, early part of fall, and maybe the early part of winter, is you can use a frame feeder. And as you can see, a frame feeder is nothing more than a big plastic container that has a big reservoir in it that you can fill up with sugar water. So what I usually do, you might have to take out a couple of frames. Maybe you can get by with one. We'll see. But you can put this in place of where a frame goes. Nope, you have to take out 2. And you allow the bees a chance to eat their sugar water without having to go down to the feeder. And so this is especially something that might work for you during the time when bees are colder and more clustered. And you have to be careful. A lot of bees still can die down in here. I usually put chicken wire, cardboard to help the bees have a way to walk up. The edges are kind of notched so that the bees can get a grip. I personally don't like to use reservoirs when I'm feeding my bees, whether it's a top feeder or whether it's one of the frame feeders, because I'm concerned about bees drowning in reservoirs. So that's something that I simply just don't use in my operation. Finally, what I want to show you and demonstrate is our winter bee kind. As you can see, it is a big candy board that has sugar, a lot of amino acids, honeybee healthy, proteins added to it. Then, and then it has the notch where bees can go in and out. And so what I do is I put this on a hive. Oh, it's very heavy with one hand. And I put it right over the nest area. And it's got the insulation to help reduce condensation buildup from the temperature variant between the outside and the inside is where condensation builds up. And as you can see, it has an entrance hole that is a place where bees can exit the hive on moderately cold days. When it gets above 30 or 40, you'll see your bees coming out there. They're up there eating, they'll fly out and take a potty break. This system works fantastic in the winter time. That's why we call it a winter bee kind. And during the winter, now once you put it on like that, you'll want to put your lid on, not your inner cover. Just put your lid on the hive like that. And let's get down here where we can see what's going on. See, there's still enough room for your bees. See, you can see there's still enough room for your bees to fly in and out right here, in and out of the hive. If you use a longer lid that hangs down, there's always space. You can just move it forward this way to allow the space to allow the bees to come in and out. If you want to check on it during the winter time, you can just simply go out to your hive, open it up, raise it up for a minute, look under there, see how much candy they're eating, and then put it down quickly. And when you buy a winter bee kind, we include the recipe. Okay, so let me summarize really quick what I've addressed about feeding bees. 1-to-1 sugar water in the spring, because that will allow the bees to have a time to consume that sugar water to help them build up their brood better. Use 2 parts sugar, 1 part water in the fall so they can store up more honey, turn that sugar water into stored honey for the fall. And then in the wintertime, we prefer the winter bee kinds. In the spring, when you install a package, and in the fall, I prefer the Burns feeding system that has the 2 holes where you can put the box around it at the top. That's fast. That's how you feed bees. Go get them. We're gonna have hives by the end of the week. Right now, I've only got 11 till 30. Be the bullet.